What is up, Internet? Hello, I am Tom. I unmuted my mic to start the show this time, so there is no awkward silence and my lips moving. How the hell are you? Scratching his beard over in the corner. We got Lance without his little bottom name bar thingy.
I lost the beard off.
He lost the beard off.
I had to trim it, and I am sad. In the whole world, all the women in the world have been saddened by the loss of my beard that I was growing. They were all very overjoyous of the fact that it got very long. Now, there's sadness.
Yep. So, joining us as a lovely illustration yet again, someone who I haven't seen in a while, Mr. Jacob. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Hello, everybody's.
Oh, man, I've missed that picture of you with a scraggly
I
beard.
missed him a lot. I missed his really terrible picture. A lot.
Terribly awesome.
Sexy voice.
Hello.
On a short break from the colleges, rocking his... Is it a Padres? No, San Francisco Giants hat. Is
Very good.
Mr. Rich
So-
Porter.
I'm so proud of you for knowing that, Tom. Also, I want it known I showed up this week just so that Tom would actually have his microphone unmuted
Yeah,
after last week's debacle.
if Rich didn't come, I wouldn't unmute. And as a special guest this week,
Pull out.
new friend. His name is Vance. He makes video games. Say hello, sir.
How are you?
So
Good to be here.
we're all just meeting him. Lance has known him for a moment. We're all just getting to know him.
Vance is a good guy.
Seems like a gentleman and a scholar. I don't even know where to begin. Like, there's so much information in front of me right now. I just got back from Vegas. I'm still hungover. Let's do something.
I think we should start with Vance and talk about what he
Cool.
does.
Let's do
So, why don't you go ahead and take that over, sir, and tell us about what you do.
Okay, so basically I actually went to school for game art and design. I'm getting ready to graduate in another semester. And in game art specifically, I specialize in concept and environmental design, which has a lot to do with 2D illustration for the concept side of things, and then a lot of modeling as well. So I work a lot with Maya. I work a lot with Photoshop, ZBrush, and there's not really much to say. Unless you really understand how games are made or how content's made for a game, you know, I mean, I could go into that, but I probably end up taking all the time. So let's just say I get paid to draw for a living.
Well, and I think it's important. I think it's important to note that, like, every game, if you don't know very much about gaming, if you're watching this podcast, I'm sorry, you probably know a little more than we do. But you know, without concept art, without that 2D design, the actual feel of the game can be completely destroyed.
Sure.
You know, I mean, in my opinion, I mean, you're setting the tone for what the game's going to look like, right? Because all the modeling, all the things are going to be built kind of off of the concepts you're delivering, right? I would assume. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I mean, without art, a game is just ones and zeros.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you guys ever had the opportunity to play some of the text adventures back in the day on the bulletin board systems and stuff, or on the BBS systems, but that's pretty much what a game is without art.
Yeah.
It's just rolling script, and they can be fun
have
too.
played those. That's how old I am. Thank you for reminding me about Lower Lights, BBS.
Dude,
So-
sometimes the youngins need to know, man. The youngins need to know.
I don't know, when he started talking about ones and zeros, I thought he was talking about Pong, but that's a whole nother issue.
I just feel bad for Vance because, I mean, he's on our dog shit podcast, and now nobody's going to pick him up once he graduates. Like, he was on that fucking terrible podcast. and now,
We've instantly made you unemployable.
right. Stamp disapprove.
Ooh, EID wins this month.
Yay.
Oh,
You're going to be a permanent fixture on our podcast because you won't be able to get a job because you were on our podcast.
yeah, say, man.
Oh man! Every time you come on, that'll be the countdown. It'll be like Vance has gone this many days without a job interview. That's how we're gonna do it.
That's harsh, guys. I think Vance will be quite employable. Dicks.
Well, that depends. First off, you are working on your own game.
Yeah, tell us about that.
What is the name of your game?
Plate and pistol.
Plate and Pistol?
Yeah, plate and pistol. Think Wild Wild West meets the medieval times.
Okay.
Excellent.
So we kind of got we decided to go with a 2.5D shooter. And we're using the Unreal Engine right now.
Okay.
And it's like our homage or our love letter to games like Metal Slug and Contra and the games that you ran home to play with your friends, and you were so blown away just by the explosions and everything going on. It was just mindless fun. That it was amazing that a game like that could even keep a 12-year-old kid contained, but it did, and it kept your attention for hours. That's what we're going for. We want to see explosions. We want to see fast gunplay. We want to see, everything that can possibly happen with a 2.5D shooter. So that's kind of what we're working on right now. And then we're throwing in a few extra elements, like magic elements as well. So it's not just mindless shooting, but at the same time you can do, you can see some nice elemental effects that are going to be going on and whatnot. We're trying to balance it a little bit with puzzles, but the main idea is to just boom boom, everything dies.
And what do you guys?
So you're saying that I can kill things, which
A lot of
suddenly
things.
my interest is sparked.
Dude, I think everybody wanted to commit genocide at one point, especially if you've driven on the roads in Utah. It's just something we think about quite a bit. So
My question is this: being as Michael Bay now controls the cinema universe, he's all about explosions. Does your game have explosions?
we have explosions.
You're gonna do
Our-
fine.
Yeah, our explosions are going to be way bigger than
We're
mine.
going to sell plenty of copies.
Are you guys going like a green light release through Steam? How are you guys launching this?
Right now, the Kickstarter is underway. We'll be advertising at Comic-Con. We'll have our own booth,
Really?
and I think
Okay.
yeah. So I think Kickstarter, as of right now, is probably our big focus. And
Okay.
Do you know?
Where
course.
do you
what
know,
do they need to search for on Kickstarter to find you? Just the blade and pistol or plate and pistol?
yeah, well, right now we have a Facebook page, which is probably the easiest way to find us. So you can probably search in Facebook Plate and Pistol or Dogpile Studios.
Dogpile Studios. I like that.
So do you know?
Dogpile, baby.
So do you know your where your booth assignment is yet for Comic Con?
Yeah. Actually, I got the email right here.
Dude,
Hold on a second. Let me pull
yeah.
it over onto my.
Do it, man. Let us know where you're gonna be, because that's something that. I mean, coming up, we've got. Oh man, we're 2 weeks away, guys. We'll be doing our pre-Comic Con episode next week, but a lot going on, right? I mean, we're August 20th. Yeah, we're literally 2 weeks from Salt Lake Comic Con, so some crazy times are ahead. If you haven't checked out like our friends, Big Shiny Robot, if you don't come talk to us, come check out Vance, come say hi. Like this is what Comic-Con is about, is seeing people that you don't know but you would like to know, or about learning about really cool new stuff, especially in Salt Lake. The neat thing that gives Salt Lake Comic-Con a leg up, I think, on a lot of other cons is a lot more independent development, a lot more independent comic book artists, a lot of really cool stuff that you're not going to see at a lot of other cons. So, anyway, Vance, where is your booth, sir?
I'm looking right now. I just got the. Let's see here. Let me see if I can look at it just on the web without having to download all the files and
yeah.
everything.
The Mega.
Okay, Convention Center. Okay, does it have where we're crossed off? Maybe I need to share the screen actually, because
Specifically
now it's right down Celebrity Row. Okay, so you know where Celebrity Row is, where everybody's taking the pictures and stuff?
Mhm.
We are literally right on the other side of it,
Oh, okay.
right in Artist Alley, right in that little area.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
Very nice.
So head
Yeah.
over to Artist Alley. One really cool thing that Salt Lake Comic Con is doing this year for layout that's different is that Artist Alley is kind of front and center instead of pushed off in a corner like it was at the Fan Experience, which is huge. So it'll be easy to find everybody and come say hi. So will you guys have the game playable at your booth, or more concept stuff?
You know, we're hoping to. We're hoping to. Right now, it's in pre-alpha stage, so it runs, it works, but it's missing a lot of animations. It's missing some textures. In fact, that's what I was going to be working on tonight after this all got done and over with. I was actually going to start working on, additional textures and maybe some static meshes for the game. But I'm hoping it will be. I'm thinking it will be, but I can't give you a definite answer on that.
Cool. Fair enough. Well,
Now, when you say Metal Slug, you're speaking to myself and my people. That That's how we did things. I was one of those children who ran home and was all about anything that had the words SNK attached to it, or excuse me, the letters SNK. Is this game going to be co-op in its final stage?
We're gonna try. As of right now, the programmer that we're using is still really new to the Unreal Engine, and we're also not even we're using what we call UDK, so the Unreal Development Kit. It's very possible for us to do that, but it would have to be local multiplayer instead of online.
That was actually going to be my next question. You going to netcode that? Because I have a couple of friends that will buy it on day one if that's the case.
Dude, netcode. That's one of the reasons why indie games are most of the time local multiplayer, is because netcode is so difficult to deal with.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now,
And you have to, go ahead.
To create these explosions that we've discussed, how many different weapons are we talking about? Are we talking about vehicles? Are we talking about, like, how much stuff are we looking at? One man with a gun like Contra? Are we looking something more like Slug?
Okay, so as of right now, we've got 2 weapons in the game. One's a pistol, hence the name, plate and pistol, and the other one's a grenade launcher. And we're going to try and stick with those 2 for the demo for right now. And the whole idea is that you can imbue each weapon with an elemental power, so you can actually interact with the environment. You can freeze ledges to get to different areas. You can blow stuff up and light it on fire to get through certain obstacles. We haven't really talked a whole lot about the earthquake mechanism that we're working on, and I don't think that'll be until after the Kickstarter. We just haven't implemented it yet. As far as vehicles are concerned, we weren't really going that way. We were going to try, we might do like a hoverboard, not hoverboard, but we were trying to do, like, you remember playing Battletoads where you'd have like the break in the action and all of a sudden you'd be on a vehicle dodging stuff? We're playing with the idea, we're playing with like maybe a runaway carriage, and have you in the back shooting, acting as the gunner and trying to lead the horses and get down the hill.
I have to say, one of my all-time favorite moments in a video game is actually in Sunset Riders, the old Western kind of side-scroller shooter, where you're jumping on the cows in the similar way you're kind of describing there.
Yeah.
So that sounds fantastic. So your Kickstarter, you have it up now. What's the date on that? Like, when are you guys done with the Kickstarter? How much time does it have on it?
The Kickstarter hasn't gone live yet, as far as I know. Unfortunately, I'm not the person taking care of that. That's another member of our team. I'm looking around my desk. Apparently, I don't have any of the cards. I don't have any information on my desk about that. But that information should be contained in the Facebook. So if you can find the Facebook page, you'll be able to find all the information.
We'll repost all the information on our Twitter, and we'll repost it on our Instagram and our Facebook in the next couple days, so that people can kind of get the information out there. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just kind of curious. These are all graduating students this semester. Is that what's going on? That you guys all made this game together, pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much. So at the end of your term in school, or at the end of your education or whatever, they want you to at least have one product that's finished, whether it be a game or whether it be a combination of maps. Because there are some cases where, you don't have a programmer, and so you're forced to use whatever script is already in the game. So there's been a few people that have just produced like multiplayer maps and stuff. Whereas we lucked out. We ended up getting a program. We actually have 2, one in Unity and one in UDK. So as far as we're concerned, we were able to actually make a game. And a lot of these, like you said, a lot of these students will be graduating this semester, and some will be graduating next semester, like myself.
Nice. That's awesome. I mean, there you go. That's how games like Portal are made, right? I mean,
I wish I would love to be part of a team that had the vision and had the talent to create something like Portal. Man, that's just an amazing piece of work. I don't know if I could ever compare our game to that, but yeah, that's how Counter-Strike got started. Counter-Strike was a mod to Half-Life. It was just a bunch of really, really dedicated people.
The maps came from that, but the one guy who actually did the mod for that, he lived in Shanghai at the time, or Singapore, one or the other, and they actually moved him in and gave him a job at Valve after CS took off the way it did. So no, that's
same
great.
Dota, right? I mean, Dota's the same way. The guy that really started Dota, I think they employed him, started up Dota 2, correct?
Yeah. You got 3 guys that worked on Dota. You got Ice Frog, you've got, and I can't remember the third guy. The third guy went off the scene, but you got Ice Frog, the guy that works at Riot now as a shoutcaster. I'm trying to think of his name.
Oh, that's right. I met him. Shit.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's really nice, and I cannot remember his goddamn name.
Yeah, it just escapes me right now.
All right.
It doesn't matter.
There you have it, Blizzard. Call this man.
Call this
Valve.
guy. Well, and I think that's
Please.
I think that's key. That, like, we had an episode, and this was probably a year ago, and I think we all boiled it down to what are you doing now, right? And I think it was Rich that went on this huge rant, but this goes for any job. For those of you that are looking to get a job that have never had one or something, I don't know, my advice is worthless. But if you've never had a job, just go get one and work towards something so that you can go to somebody and say, I know how to work. And if you want to make video games, then download Unity or Google how to code shit, look up an API, start drawing pictures, find your talent, and work towards it. Because every person I've met that works in gaming has done that. The people that we know that have worked for Riot and have now since gone to do another studio that we can't talk about yet, they they just started making games because they wanted to, and they figured it out from there. So if that's what you want to do, just go do it. Don't let people tell you can't.
Absolutely. You know what's awesome now is in the day and age that we are now, there's so many online schools that are accessible that all you have to do is type in game design or how to, and you'd end up getting Digital Tutors, Namon, Chris Oatley's School of Design, and all these are accessible via the web, and they're way affordable.
Yep. So there's our inspirational moment of the day. Look out for Vance's game. I plan on playing it when it arrives. Because
Yeah, I was gonna say, send it to me, man. I want to test this thing for you.
I will tom it up, if you will. I will give it a tom, which means I will start playing it, then go play something else, and then come back to it.
Nice.
That's what
Maybe
I
you should
do.
give it to somebody else.
Yeah, don't give it to me. So, do we want to open the can of worms that is this article that Rich shared with us? I'm really nervous to open this.
Yes.
Should we do it? All right.
Yes.
So, Evil Avatar posted an article from Gamer Headlines, which had some pretty poor grammar, but that's okay. Essentially, this game developing woman who makes indie games, and Vance, I think you can weigh in on this because it sounds like you're working your balls off on a game right now.
Sure.
Was apparently, and I don't know what these sexual actions were, but she was trading sexual favors for positive game reviews. And and
I'm sorry.
no, it's crazy. And like the thing is some of the sites she was trading with were sites like Kotaku, which is a pretty fucking big deal. And apparently it went further as to now I don't know, I'm a little out of touch, I guess, but they're calling it the infamous social justice warrior. What I don't know what that is. Is that like a movement of people? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Essentially, social justice warriors are people who feel that you've wronged somebody and they are going to make it right at your expense.
So bored asshats on the internet apparently got behind this girl's cause, and for some reason we're like boycotting press sites that wrote about this and getting mad at people. So essentially, her boyfriend then posted a blog backing this up, like, hey, no, this happened. Here's all the stuff. Here's the evidence. So I don't
damning evidence.
Right, damning evidence, to quote them. So I don't want to really quote this as part of like I don't know. I don't want to sit here and shame the girl. She did what she did. Who cares? But like, what does that say about gaming journalism and the industry as a whole? That makes me nervous.
I've never been a fan. Back in oh man, how long? It was 2003 or 2004. There was a review that appeared for Donkey Konga.
Oh, that's right.
That came out. It came out one day at a 3. The next day it was changed to a 7. The penny arcade cartoon was that Nintendo walked up to the reviewer, dumped a truckload of money on the table, and said, "Change this."
That's right.
The gaming journalistic industry, whatever you want to call it, it has journalistic tendencies, and we were kind of talking about this beforehand on the show. Lance was calling it like the movie industry. The movie industry still has people like Siskel and Ebert in it. People that are above reproach, people who kind of spearhead what they're doing. Even if you disagree with them, like no one will ever say that Siskel and Ebert were bought and paid for and acted like, like shills for what they were doing. I don't think that. We don't have anybody like that in the gaming industry.
I still think that's not accurate because here's the thing. Like, I mean, you can't help but go through something like Game Informer or another one of those major review sites and look at the reviews and go, really? Did you fucking play this game? You're giving it a fucking 8. This is like a 4 at best, and you're gonna give it a fucking 8. You got to be kidding me.
Well,
and it's the same way. I mean, talk about like how do you think? I mean, I'm not saying every actress is like this, or maybe there's actors out there that are doing the same thing, blowing people. I'm not saying they're above it, but there's got to be tons of people out in that industry that are trying to fuck their way to the top.
I'm not saying that it's not similar. I'm saying that there are still moments where it feels different and it looks different. It doesn't walk like a duck and quack like a duck. Whereas in the gaming industry, and I've hated this for years, their reviews are constantly changing. The things that they say one day, they'll change the next day because cheerleading is more important for an industry than having what can only be referred to as journalistic integrity. The guys who work, Gertzman at Giant Bomb, left GameSpot because his review for, I don't even remember what it was. It was something really, really shitty. And he gave it a shitty review. God, what was that game? Somebody look it up for me real quick. I don't remember. They told him to go back and change it. He looked at them and said no. They fired him. You know, he decided to leave. They parted ways based on this one review because they had to change it in order to maintain a relationship with that developer. Ubisoft plays ball this way. Nintendo, my favorite video game company, plays ball this way. EA's the same way. Everybody plays ball this way. Now, in this particular instance that we're referring to, maybe there's something to be said for all of the social implications of somebody trading sex for money, regardless of gender or anything else. Like that kind of integrity, that kind of compromised integrity may be an issue that can be explored at another time. But I think it's more of a reflection of the overall problem, and that it is cheerleading, not journalism. And this is just an example of that.
Well, no, I think the bigger thing to be said is that it can be bought. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I think is frustrating. I don't give a shit what people do. But to me, the frustrating thing is it's just like, how much are you going to pay to get me to say that you know, what's it worth for me to say that your game is awesome? Or what's it worth for me to give you a good review for your hotel on, you know, Google, Google reviews or something like that. You know, that kind of thing. It's in every industry. This isn't a surprise to me at all. I don't think that, you know, any business is above dirty business. I think that's just kind of the nature of the beast, if you will. So
there's two sides to that coin too. You know, it's in the gaming industry, or this is what I've noticed, is that, you know, if a publication decides to bash a game, you know, that some people like or that some people are enjoying at the time, you know, it's kind of on the fence.
Alien Colonial Marines?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another thing. Like I hate, like, personally, the game came out and broke my heart. You know, but there were still publications that were giving it a decent rating, and I don't know if it was about money. I don't know if Randy
have to go down that rabbit hole. I just like to bring it up every single fucking podcast. You guys have heard about it for like a year and a half, so we're not going to talk about it.
There's this weird unspoken truth about the game industry, in my opinion, that like whenever you poo-poo a game, dude, you're gonna lose readers. You're gonna lose people that are gonna sign into your site because you're attacking their game. You're attacking almost like a personal aspect of their life. You know, and I think a lot of publications try to play the Care Bear and say, it's all good, we love it all, and meanwhile, you know, the big industry's throwing money in their face. But I think it's a multifaceted monster that's you know,
Sure.
that's in the room here.
That's actually, I'm glad you said it that way, because there was actually a mention of that in one of these articles that I was reading that referred to the bigger sites as catch bait. They'll put up anything that they can to just try and catch viewers and readers and try and bring that out. In that case, it's whatever's trendy at the moment. I don't think it's necessarily that they're trying to play Care Bear for everything. It's that if it's trendy to hate Skyrim right now, they hate Skyrim. If it's trendy to like Aliens Colonial Marines 6 months after it came out, then they'll do that just to generate readership, which still to me sounds like cheerleading. You know what I mean? But, you know, I think you're 100% right. What Lance said in that it can still be bought, and it feels like it can be bought because of that. And then, you know, there's a line that they walk with that Care Bear and that cheerleader objectivity that they carry with them. So,
Sure.
Jacob, what do you think?
He's on mute. We should go to Tom.
Oh.
Well, I think Vance had a point to follow up, so I want to hear what Vance had, and then I'll jump in.
Oh, I was gonna say, you know, GameSpot, which I hope I don't offend anybody by saying this, but I absolutely, with every fiber of my being, hate GameSpot. I will never.
I haven't read them in 6 years, so you're not gonna hurt my feelings.
Oh, good, because there's a few people out there that are like, yeah, GameSpot's amazing, and everything I can do to resist slapping them or physically hurting them. But they gave League of Legends, when it first came out, they gave it a 5 out of 10. And then they changed it literally 2 or 3 months later when it started to pick up steam. And then they changed it again when the LCS really started to pick up, and they started doing that webisode of TSM when they started like basically doing an episode of TSM every week. You know what I mean? Going to the house, hanging out with the team and whatnot. And to me, it was just like, man, you guys, you never apologized for bashing this game. It's essentially the same game that was released, and all the points that you bashed it on are now its selling points. You know what I mean? So,
Ooh, you know what we should start doing? We should start going to these sites and take pictures of their fucking reviews and then spam them when they change them. Be like, oh, I thought you gave it this review. I just want to check. Is this what you said, motherfucker? So.
Well, and I think that's something that, like, for me is a little weird to look at, because, like, so when I first started writing game reviews 7 years ago, you know, my first review was of WWE 2005 or something. I don't even remember what year it was.
I remember that. Was that
Yeah.
the one with the Confederate flag?
It was. And so basically, I
the
hate
South will rise again.
this. I hated this game so much, so much. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, it was just so bad that I was like, you know what? I can't even write a serious review. I'm just gonna write 1,000 words about how shitty this game is and be done. And so my
If
article.
it makes you feel better, Tom, I remember that review because, and I could tell you the version of it, I think it's 2007, because of the Heat match
Yeah.
that you reviewed in your review.
Oh.
I laughed for hours.
So
It was amazing.
So quick run back. Basically, you do a match with the ring is on fire, and every time you hit your opponent, the temperature got hotter. So like by the end of the match, it was like 628 degrees in the ring, which I think melts human skin or something like that at that point. And so
I'm pretty sure way before that.
yeah, so
Tom.
basically my article had a big Confederate flag. I said this game is for you if you own one or multiple gun racks, drive a truck with antlers on the front of it, or live in the deep south. And then I wrote 1,000 words about just how awful it was. That was the most read article I've ever written in 7 years. It also had like 4,000 comments. I have been called the most creative names in the world from that article.
Did they leave it up on Big Shiny?
I don't know if it's still there, like, because we did the site migration. I don't know if it's still there, but it was ridiculous. And so the point I make with that though is I never changed my view, even though there's probably like 4,000 rednecks in the deep south that have my picture on a wall somewhere, like to murder me. And like,
22 rounds around it.
yeah, just my name written on each shell. Zombie
We're gonna go
Tron.
find that little son bitch and tie him up to the front of our rack of our car and run him
Oh,
over.
man.
So, but basically, like we didn't go back and change the article. I got a text from the owner of the site that was like, "Hey, man, man, you really poked the badger on that one. Thanks, I think." And that was the end of it. Like that was the end of the conversation. And so it
Slowing
just,
down the traffic on the site, son of a bitch.
yeah. And so I mean, and like THQ went out of business, and rightfully so on that one. But you know, I don't know. I can't imagine that no matter how much hate you get from somebody, like at some point as a business owner, you have to look and go, our product is not for everybody. Like Victoria's Secret does not hope that 20 to 25-year-old men are buying it for themselves, or maybe they do, but like they know that's not their target demographic, right? And so you'd have to think that it's the same way. So it bums me out to hear this kind of stuff when it's like, well, we need to keep everybody happy because we're running a business, which is right. I work in business, I get it. But I would much rather see it be based on integrity, not on money, which will never happen.
Well, and I think you make an excellent point with that you, like us as consumers, not just the business element that you're talking about, but as consumers, we're being taken advantage of when they do things like this. They're trading on our goodwill as consumers for whatever nonsense it is that they're doing. Like, how many things could possibly have been influenced because these people decided to trade sex for better reviews or whatever else it is that's going on, that we are now reading those reviews going, oh, Kotaku likes this game, you know, let's go try it out. Like, they're inflating that. They're doing that from a business standpoint, which is great for business, but as a reader, you burn me enough times, I'm done with you.
Well, and I think Kotaku needs to look at it. Like, I used to check Kotaku every morning up until probably a year ago. Like, that was one of my mainstay sites until they stopped being more of a gaming site and more of like a Japanese pop culture site with a gaming touch. But like I used to read every morning, wake up, I would check Kotaku, a couple of tech blogs who I don't read anymore, and like Evil Avatar. That was kind of my rhythm every morning. and they kind of fell off that rhythm. But that's the thing, is like I got a lot of information from those guys, and I think for me it's like, wow, like I took their opinion seriously, and now it's like how much of that was actually money and how much of it was good, you know?
Well, even if you don't look back and look at it as tainted review from before, how much of it would you take serious from this moment on?
Yeah.
That's another thing too, is that there's a huge image problem with that is going to be, very long lasting and very impactful if something doesn't get done about these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have to contend with that.
Well, there's a cure to the cancer in the industry, I think, and that cure is Reddit.
Yeah.
I actually was going to say a minute ago, I stopped reading Kotaku like Tom was talking about. Like, we used to talk about that all the time. We'd get up, we'd read it, do that stuff, until they became a repost site for Reddit. And that's what it felt like. They'd see something cool somebody did, and they were like, oh, cool, we'll just put it up on our site. That's great. And that's what they became.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see. I haven't checked the Rainbow Six one that just came out, but I was going to touch on what Tom was saying. It's kind of that how to win friends and influence others take is what I'm getting from the conversation today, is that they're just trying to play nice with everybody, and a lot of people end up liking him for that. But then I think about, and Tom said that there was something you were saying just a minute ago that made me think about Boy Genius Report, which I used to go to a lot until I got tired of all the negative shit that they used to say about a carrier that I like. And I was like, you need to shut the fuck up. Like, seriously, I am so tired of this site just bashing on, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, they just kept bashing on AT&T over and over and over again. And there's no point to it. It's just being negative. And so I think there's two sides to that. I mean, you can either have somebody who's got an opinion on it that they're stating all the time, or then you got, that's not very objective. It's just, I hate this carrier. There's not really a whole lot to back it up that I've seen over the 10 articles that I read that I kept seeing over and over again. I haven't been back on that site for about 2 or 3 years now. And then you got another one that's the cheerleader. So I guess which one is worse? I guess having more of an, this is my opinion, I guess, would be the better way to go about it, right? As opposed to...
And I think for me, like, I mean, if we're going to talk about sites that we like, I still actually really enjoy reading, like, Polygon. Because and I know you might disagree with me, because at least there's consistency there. Like, I know they're gonna hate everything, and so if I read their review and bump it up by like 3 points, they're generally in my wheelhouse. Like, they're like, this game is a 7. I'm like, okay, good, then I'm gonna love the shit out of this game. Like, and I could be wrong, but
well, that's because their grading scale starts at 5.
right.
If their grading scale actually went down to 0, that math wouldn't work anymore. But I think something that Lance said, where he's talking about how he hates that website because all they did was shit on something that he liked. If they had gone the other way and shit on Verizon, you may have agreed with them, you may not have. In a world where we can have a website like The Consumerist do the worst company in America year after year after year, and companies like EA and Comcast win that every year. Luxury companies, not necessity, like against companies that destroyed financial markets and destroyed housing markets and, I don't know, the federal government. Like, you can call it whatever you want. In a world where that kind of stuff is king, websites like that have to gain readership somehow. And unfortunately, at the expense of Lance's readership, they gained 3 more.
Maybe.
It sucks. It sucks. It's terrible. But like Tom said, he said his review came out. It was what he said. It was how he felt about it. He wasn't changing it for shit and, let the chips lie where they may. Those rednecks in the South with his picture on dartboards, they're still throwing them at him. That's okay. Everyone's so afraid of that idea, like having not just integrity, but the idea of standing behind your integrity. Your integrity's not for sale. And you can, well, it's trendy to hate somebody this week. Well, let's do that. Like you said, Vance, about the Riot Games review, things like that, the League of Legends review, things like that. It's so trendy to change your mind, and it's all about gaining viewership and readership that nobody has consistently said, I'm going to do what I do, I'm going to love what I do, and when I do it, I'm going to do it my way, and if people disagree with me, well, there are other sites for them. I appreciate that. Nobody does that anymore.
So.
Yeah. I didn't think. What blows my mind is that, the way this whole thing started is that some woman involved in indie development wants her game to succeed so bad that she's giving fellatio for a review, and I think like despite what you think about, that side of the industry, like I can't believe there's somebody out there that thinks they have that much control. You know what I mean? It's like
Apparently they did. I mean,
Well,
if it didn't blow up the internet and there wasn't this many people involved, it did something. So,
yeah. I mean, I wonder if people will buy it just based on the fact that this is the game that some girls suck dick
This
for.
is the blowjob game.
well, and
Yeah, right.
that's a good point.
It's the
like,
guy game too. It's the guy game all over again.
Dude, like really?
It's the modern day equivalent of Leisure Suit Larry.
I hope somebody makes an indie game that's based on her blowing everybody in the industry.
I guarantee it's happening already.
I will
guarantee it's already
I
happening.
will fund the shit out of that Kickstarter. I will
Like-
buy it 3
like,
times.
yeah, Gabe Newell is like the end boss.
He's like, Gabe was like, no,
Good job.
no. Gabe is sitting there going, man, I could have got my dick sucked.
Jacob,
I think
even
you guys just came up with the bonus level for Sims 4.
Oh yeah.
It's just a wall with glory holes.
With happy and unhappy Sims.
Which one is it?
No,
Let's reveal.
no door because you can't get out.
Oh, you just sucked off one of the old THQ CEOs. Too bad you fail.
Oh.
it's like a really terrifying whack-a-mole.
Oh.
And this is what's really sad about the indie scene, because the indie scene used to have tons of integrity. Like the team that did Super Meat Boy, I'm trying to think of the two guys' names.
Didn't they do a? They did a Netflix. There's a
Documentary, yeah.
Indie game.
Yeah, indie game. And it's funny because they got later on they were approached by a few big studios to do a sequel to Meat Boy, but do a really nice AAA version of it, and they said no, that's not what Meat Boy's about. That's not what we're doing. We're making the games that we want to play, and they found a ton of success in that. And I think the indie scene needs to go back to that. We're not making games for you guys. We're making games for us, and if you like them too, great.
Well, and I think that's part of what makes it so special. I mean, you get these games like I've been playing the shit out of Rogue Legacy because it felt like that. It was a game for them, but it was a game for me. Like, wait a minute, you're gonna make me play a Castlevania game that just randomly regenerates and every once in a while it's in black and white or blurry, or I'm in. I'm on board all the time, right? And I feel like that's what the indie game scene always was to me, and.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do your job for success. You should always want to be successful in what you do. But when the indie game scene became hip, maybe, like I'm gonna be an indie developer because that's the cool shit to do. I mean, PS4 and Xbox One are doing, we have indie, we have indie, we have indie. Everything's indie. Every title's indie. Ubisoft made it. Nah, it's an indie game because it looks like it's in 2D graphics. Like, come on.
The question you have to ask yourself at that point, if everybody's doing an indie game and every indie game is getting huge support, is it truly indie?
Game.
Is that not just a new genre?
Well, and I flipped out about that a couple months ago when companies like Harmonix are going to Kickstarter to get their game funded because they can't take a risk on it in the regular market the way that it is. Ubisoft going to Kickstarter would be completely disingenuous to the people who actually need the service. Steam Greenlight has had so much garbage lit on it that is nothing. It's absolutely nothing, and people are getting burned by these things, this whole concept of pre-release and pre-alpha and early access. I mean, it's gotten to the point, just like Tom said, where everything is indie. Everything has to be indie, otherwise it's not darling enough for people to want to be a part of it.
Although I really want to play, this is stupid, but I want to play that dinosaur game where you get to go around and hunt dinosaurs and then ride them and be badasses in an MMO.
The problem that's happened is games are no longer judged on their content. Games are judged on their hype. Now that's not every game, but in general, it's how much hype can you create for this game.
Dude,
is going to equal how much money can you make, and
$500 million advertising
that's
budget.
why you get shitty games.
No, I completely agree. Fez was that dude. I don't know if you guys ever played Fez, but Fez was shit.
We did a whole thing about.
I started playing it on PS4 because it was free to play. I think it's part of PS Plus, and I didn't get it. I got like 5 minutes in. I was like, I'm gonna play the Silent Hill playable teaser instead.
I liked Fez, and I liked the concept of Fez. I didn't like all of the mechanics, and I didn't like some of the levels. it seemed a little simplistic at times, but I enjoyed it at first. And then I got caught up in the embroiled version of Phil Fish's How to Fuck the Internet in 2 Steps or Less. Yeah. And all of a sudden, and I'll tell you, I was guilty of exactly what Jacob was talking about, the hype. It was, well, this guy's a dick. and I don't want to play his game. I got embroiled in that and embattled in that, and all of a sudden it was like my view of Fez can never be the same because of it. And that's my fault, and I'm guilty of that. I get that. But there's so much of that going on for everything that you can't just make a game anymore.
Well, someone needs to teach Phil Fish how to internet. Like, we don't have time to discuss his shortcomings as a Twitter as a Twitter and Google user, but someone needs to teach that guy just how the internet works and why.
He understands how the internet works. He is a living embodiment of a troll.
Oh.
He is a true troll. He lives it in real life. He lives it on the internet. Like, that's just what he is. He's embraced that aspect of the internet.
He is embattled in being a troll. That's ridiculous.
Well,
Troll 3,
the story of Phil Fish.
Is it going to be set in Nilbog? Tell me it's set in Nilbog.
Nilbog is Phil Fish spelled backwards. All right, I think we're out of time. I need to go to bed. Any parting words for the lovely internet folks?
Yeah, if you guys want to get it, did you hear my voice crack? It was nice, right?
It was real good.
If you guys really want to, if anybody listening to this can hear my voice and you want to get into game development, remember it's an art form. Let it be an art form. Let it be something that's extension of yourself that you want to show other people. Don't make a shit game and then suck a bunch of dick to get it out there.
Well, I heard.
Oh my God! Can we put that on a T-shirt?
You're saying like dick owner, sucking dick. A lot of references to.
Oh, that's. God, I want that on. I want. Like, where can I get that tattooed on me?
I want that on a T-shirt.
Like, how? Hey, don't make a shit game. So DMASG, and suck a bunch of dick. I mean.
I want that on.
He's hireable, ladies and gentlemen. Hire him.
Hire him. Jacob, anything from the lovely bearded photograph?
I mean, how do you follow that?
All right.
Listen, internet.
We need Ryan to
get a job.
Something about trying a little harder to be a little better.
Try a little harder to be a little better, ladies and gentlemen.
And sucking dick.
Ryan Jackson.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna just fade to black before this gets out of hand.
But dude, here's your t-shirt, bro. Game design does not involve talking.
What is the game about that woman?
Oh man.